So I'm going to read a little bit of the letter that I wrote to the White House, which I'm going to be sending tomorrow. So, to whom it may concern, I dedicate this to the highest good of all sentient beings throughout all time, all space, and in every dimension. As the earth burns and people are ravaged by famine, as the myopic view of government seeks to make its own self-interest the law of the land, we have to ask ourselves if we are living in a spiritual crisis of our own making. The lives of citizens on this earth are fodder for those in the upper echelons of leadership who crave money and power, at the expense of the well-being of citizens that they took an oath to protect. Let's get one thing straight. No human being is illegal. The United States has created humanitarian crises around the world for which they have never been held accountable. When those same people who they have pillaged in their quest for resources and dominance cry out for aid, they vilify them. Yet they themselves are the greatest villain. The petulant and often truly despicable ego that is Donald Trump is a symptom of a much deeper sickness. The rampant hatred and intolerance bred into some of your citizens since birth. The Constitution was written at a time when over 500,000 people were owned as slaves. Behind the guise of progress, folks felt like it was their God-given right to erase anything that they feared was other, to take people out of their motherlands and whitewash their own histories, making themselves the victor when they were the victims of their own greed. This is a legacy which lives on to this day, as America has little foresight into the lives it has destroyed in other countries through the terrorism of war. Terrorism war. There is no heroism or glory in this. Your God is wealth, materialism, vanity, delusion. He is psychological and ultimately unreal. A fantasy made to serve the white man, born out of a genuine insecurity about his evolving place in this world. But God does exist, whether we call her Allah, Shakti, Buddha, Sophia, nature, science, awareness, it doesn't matter. There is a transcendent, intelligent source of compassion, wisdom, and love immanent in all of creation, which is seeking to be born through the hearts of those who only wish to serve the greater good of humanity. We see these same people now entering the White House, amazing, diverse human beings who are going to be a force to be reckoned with, those who will ultimately bring this administration down. You can try to stop the dam from flooding with your narcissist project, the Great Wall. And I like how he has the little, like, meme of him in Game of Thrones with, like, the wall is coming, because I'm pretty sure a dragon took down that wall. So I often do magic with Pendragon. It's kind of my... King Arthur is one of my favorite archetypes to use in my spells, because he was supposed to unify the pagan goddess matriarchal society with the coming Christian ideological viewpoints. Tidal wave of truth and justice will be no match for those who devise behind closed doors to take away more rights from millions of people. The town of Paradise was up in flames. Jews were killed while praying at the Tree of Life synagogue. Are these not signs that we are failing the Garden of Earth, who we have been entrusted with the sacred duty of attending to? Mystics throughout time knew we are more than we ever previously believed ourselves to be. And we can wield this power which comes from the light to enlighten the darkest areas of this planet if we wished it to be so. Yet some of us are so entrenched in the matrix of suffering, and I believe Donald Trump probably suffers quite a bit with his ego and how so many people actually despise him. He must, I don't know, feel very lonely. I feel like he's a very lonely, sad man, to be honest, and that's kind of upsetting in and of itself. Like, you know, he needs to just go away. And So, okay, that's all we can create for ourselves and others. In ultimate reality, that duality doesn't exist. What we do for one person, we do for all. The head of a nation should represent timeless values which bring forth a resounding unity that seeks to reconcile the mistakes of the past with a hope for a new future wherein everyone's precious life is taken into account as valuable. You're absolutely right, Don Man, the con man. This is the greatest witch hunt of a president in the history of the United States of America. And we witches are not through with this administration. And then I have a quote from Bill Hicks, my favorite. My daddy, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And he says, the world is like a ride in an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. The ride goes up and down and around and around. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud. And it's fun for a while. Many people have been on this ride a long time, and they begin to wonder, hey, is this just a ride, or is this real? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us and say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And then he goes on to say, my favorite part, it doesn't matter, because we have a choice right now. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money, just a simple choice between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your doors, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do right now to change the world to a better ride. Take all the money we spend on weapons and defenses each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would pay for many times over, and we could explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace. And that's kind of what my hex is about. And then there's a little picture. And I like this quote. Boy, when they said anybody in America could grow up to become president, I didn't know what the fuck that meant until this year. And I think it's even more appropriate. Imagine if Bill Hicks was still alive. That's why I had to get his tattoo, because he's alive in me and in our hearts. And then it says, hail to the troll. Troll them all over. Make America GOAT. The greatest of all time.